Welcome to the Sword Coast, a place of amazing civilizations, of marvelous sylvan realms, beautiful, wondrous and enchanted, of powerful magical empires, the pinnacle of human civilization and arrogance. Vast dwarven kingdoms delved deep into the mountains. They were incredible feats of engineering and architecture, masters of stone and metal, prizing the natural beauty of gems. What others called mines were underground cities. Wealth flowed from the mines. Great forges were constructed that harnessed the power of the world, both natural and arcane. The legends of the craftsmanship, elegance, and power still echo today. But that was millennia ago. Nothing remains of them now but ruins and artifacts buried across the landscape. Now it is known as the Savage Frontier. No law, no kingdoms, only city-states trying to hold on to something resembling civilization. While the wonders of dwarven strongholds were lost, dwarves had been trying to rebuild. Over 500 years ago, clans of dwarves and gnomes made an agreement known as the Fanduel Pact. In addition to the cave's natural wealth, the mine contained great magical essence. Human spellcasters allied themselves with the dwarves and gnomes to channel and bind that fount of power into a great forge. A forge of spells, where items of magic could be enchanted. But after 100 years of quiet and prosperity, disaster struck. When orcs, goblins, tieflings and other races deemed too monstrous for civilized society swept through the north to lay waste to all in their path, evil spellcasters drove these creatures to attempt to take these riches. The human wizards fought alongside the dwarf and gnome allies to defend the Forge of Spells. The ensuing spell battles destroyed much of the cavern and its surrounding area. The cave-ins and dramas shook the Sword Coast, and with all that magic unleashed, the location of Wave Echo Cave was lost. Centuries passed and other dwarven strongholds were founded. It was rumored that more magical sources were discovered and harnessed by them as well, particularly in the Sword Mountains. But where? That was a secret never shared. Eventually they would also be overrun by the relentless hordes of orcs and goblins, sometimes betrayed by the greedy and evil Duergar, or devastated by a dragon. Worse still, the magic of the region leaves many trapped and angry in undeath, as was the case in the stronghold of Axholm. It is rumored that several hundred years ago, the great dwarven smith Durgadin the Black and his clan founded the stronghold of Kundrakar after they were driven from their home by a horde of fierce orcs and trolls. Durgadin led the destitute remnants of his clan in search of a new home. Legends of the extraordinary weapons the dwarves forged surface again from time to time in the lands near the Sword Mountains. The lost dwarven stronghold Gaunt Ligrim has been found in the north and partially reclaimed by dwarves, giving hope of reclaiming others. 4 decades ago, the violent eruption of Mount Houghton now shook Neverwinter to its core, raining death and destruction upon the once great city. Its smoking shadow still looms over the area. The city has partially rebuilt, but evil still assaults it from below. Neverwinterwood still crawls with unnatural creatures. Portents point to something big that is coming. Dragons have been on the move along the whole of the Sword Coast. young dragons driven out by elders of their race becoming active. A young green spotted over Neverwinter Wood, a savage white in the mountains south of Fanduel, a large horned black also in the Sword Mountains and perhaps as far as the Mere of Dead Men, but that could have been another. The cult of the dragon has been around for centuries. It has focused on making undead dragons to fulfill a prophecy, but that seems to be changing. They recently attacked Greenest with an army of kobolds and a large blue dragon. The cult seems to be behind numerous raids of towns along the Sword Coast. No one knows where the stolen wealth is being taken or for what purpose. Whispers in Neverwinter are that concern is strong enough that a council may soon be called in Waterdeep to address it. Recently in the frontier town of Fanduel, people are struggling to survive and build in this dangerous area. Now, a set of dwarven brothers, the Rockseekers, have discovered the location of Wave Echo Cave. Orcs are again attacking the area, and dragons have been seen by folk near Fanduel. And that is where this story began. On a chilled night in Neverwinter, two unsuspecting dwarfs were approached to help a fellow dwarf out of a bind. A simple task of taking supplies to the town of Fanduel, some 60 miles to the southeast. Knowing the road would be hazardous, Gundren Rockseeker also hired an elven ranger to guide them and the most unusual of sorcerers to help protect the cargo. On the road it was discovered that Gundren had been ambushed and either killed or taken by goblins. Unable to locate him, they continued on to Fanduel to deliver the goods as promised. Things were not well in town. Hired thugs were posing as security. Orcs and goblins had been attacking outliers and travelers. The group cleaned out the thugs and captured the traitorous wizard behind them. Going against character, they chose to save the pitiful goblin Droop who was being abused by the thugs. The wizard Glastaff escaped before he could stand trial. Perhaps that is why he is the only opponent they have not killed since banding together. They have quickly become known for their aggressive tactics against any obstacle. After saving Silver Hallwinter from goblins while searching for Gundren, he became a staunch ally. He is a member of the Lord's Alliance and tasked with establishing law and order in Fanduel. Follider was dining at the Stone Hill Inn when approached by the group to lend some arcane knowledge and help. He agreed out of curiosity about the Dragonborn. He eventually became part of the Brotherhood, but is on a mission from Candlekeep. While searching for the goblins that took Gundren, they encountered the young green dragon named Venom Fang and some members of the Cult of the Dragon. While gathering supplies back in Neverwinter after this encounter, they were joined by Miakarin and Uthgar. They eventually found Gregmore Castle. They rescued Gundren and slaughtered everything else in the dilapidated castle. Gundren was almost killed during the onslaught, but was saved through the power of Moradin. Upon the return to Fanduel, an orc attack had just ended and the town master blamed the group and wanted them arrested. Sild stepped in with a charter authorizing the Brotherhood of Fire and Blood as an official adventuring company with authority from the Lord's Alliance to deal with threats to the northern Sword Coast. In exchange for a percentage of the profits from Wave Echo Cave, the Brotherhood liberated an Undro Rockseeker and cleaned out the Dro and his minions who had been behind most of the plots around Fanduel. They also discovered a link between this Dro and the Cult of the Dragon, but no details of the relationship. Unfortunately, the Forge of Spells had lost its potency or had been damaged in previous battles. They did find a map to another dwarven stronghold that may prove more useful. In a bid to gather power and resources before going after Venom Fang and to potentially deal with the other dragons seen around Fanduel, they visited Gnomengarde and unsealed Axeholm as a potential shelter for the people of Fanduel. However, once inside Axeholm, it became obvious that it had once been part of Clan Blue Axe and the Brotherhood claimed it as their base. They have hired a maester, guards and other high rulings to work through the restoration process. After eventually slaying Venom Fang, they have headed back into the Sword Mountains following the map to the Dwarven stronghold, fighting a young white dragon along the way. Now they are within the stronghold and cleaning out the resident filth while searching for useful artifacts. The current expedition consists of Thoradin, a noble dwarf with anger issues. Garrett Arun's myth and servant of Moradin. Balasar, a dragonborn sorcerer with a fascination for fire and gold. Miakarin, an elf treasure hunter and seeker of arcane artifacts. Bland, an explorer from far to the south seeking to expand his horizons. At present, Varys and Keldrin are away from the group. Deep in the Sword Mountains. Beneath the stone tooth in the stronghold of Kundrakar. Under the glow of the vast cavern of the Glitterheim. The Brotherhood is recuperating from battle under the watchful eye of Steve.